Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be teaching a Valorant player, Riss, and she's nodding up and down, how to master movement in Apex Legends. What we're going to do is we're going to cover every bit of movement on Apex, going from the bare basics of the command line that you're going to see on the upper left hand of the screen. I have my inputs, they're going to be shown on screen as well, so you can have those tips as well. I might put Riss's footage in here, but also the biggest thing, Riss is going to be doing a lot more Apex Legends on her Twitch channel, so please, 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 I'm going to have her Twitch in the description down below. Maybe I'll get some games in with Riss later this week, but be sure to go support her as she plays a lot more Apex, because her movement is, her aim is insane. The only thing she feels like she is missing is her movement, which I think that she can master in about 30 minutes. And seeing her journey, learning movement, I wonder if this is going to help somebody else out there. So I'm excited. Riss, you excited?
Let's do it. I'm ready to learn how to move.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so let's start with the very bare basics. So we talked about the command line. You put it within Origin. I'll put it in the description down below. So the upper left-hand side that you're going to see is your velocity movement. Whenever you're just running, just kind of normally, you'll notice that your peak velocity is 299 units. Now, whenever you slide and jump, you'll notice that your velocity peaks. It peaks around almost like 400, and I want to say 10, whenever you do it really, really well. So you can do two different ways to slide jump, and this is going to feed into everything that you do on Apex. Whenever you slide jump, you can either do a toggle. I have my crouch bound to toggle, and I also have it bound to hold. I find it a little harder to time it with hold personally, so I use toggle, but this is definitely personal preference. This is going to feed into everything as you'll notice that what happens if you do it a little too soon, you'll do like a little weird, like you'll kind of like time out with your movement. It seems like there's like a flow. It's almost like you could go slide, jump, 1, 2, slide, jump, 1, 2. You almost notice from your hands once they appear on screen that you're good to go for another slide jump. So once you see your hands move on screen, you can go at peak velocity, or you can just do the 1, 2. Because if you do it beforehand, you're going to always slide, dead slide, and you'll be like, oh my god, I'm losing momentum. What's going on, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first tip. Now that we understand slide jumping, follow me, and there's a reason why I have you on Horizon. We're gonna cover next how to bunny hop. Okay, there's two keybinds that especially for mouse and keyboard. Unfortunately, if you're a controller, this is going to be much more difficult, but at least the biggest tip that you can step away from for today is knowing what some advantages are for mouse and keyboard and some disadvantages are for controller. So go to your settings.
Are you gonna make me put jump on scroll wheel?
You're gonna do it.
I knew you were gonna make me do it.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. It's the basis for everything you do with an Apex. I mean, you can still spam it, but everything, trust me, is going.
I trust you.
It's gonna change your whole life. You're going to become a movement god. And for anybody who is watching this video, you can master these movements without it, but it just makes it so much easier. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to settings. You go to mouse and keyboard. So move forward. Over under W, you're gonna change on key 2, scroll wheel up.
All right, I
did it.
Under
jump, where it says space, you're gonna do scroll wheel down. So we're gonna teach very basic bunny hopping without any healing or anything, but we're gonna get more complex as we go. So the first bunny hop, remember the peak movement that I talked about, and the reason I have you on Horizon is that technically you can bunny hop from absolutely no momentum built. What you wanna do is you slide jump, and then let me do that again. Sorry. Oh, keep going. You got it. You're going to slide jump, and then you're going to use... I'm not even touching anything else on the keyboard, so you'll notice on the overlay that I have nothing there. That all I'm doing is just slide jumping, and then all I'm doing is once my butt hits the ground, there you go. You're bunny hopping. You got it. And what you can do while you're doing this, you can move your mouse around. You'll notice how I'm not touching any other inputs or anything. This is why I have the overlay, and I think it's so important, because you're going to see that realistically you don't have to... Movement on... Bye, Riss! Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a crouch to it. You can do, what I recommend to do the crouch bunny hop is you're going to hold. Hold because it keeps telling your butt to hit the ground, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to slide jump and we're going to hold crouch. And we're going to do that same little line. You go bounce, bounce, bounce. And I'm looking at the other way too, like I just turned around. There you go. Wow, you're picking up this faster than most other people. That's amazing. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate a left and right. So most people think that you have to hold W whenever you bunny hop and you're doing all this crazy movement, but I slide jump. I'm going to hold the crouch key and I'm pressing A and D while moving my mouse left and right. And then you hold and you're going to keep holding crouch. and then move left and right. You don't have to hold W. You're holding just A and D. So technically what you can do, and this is what you can do as a step away risk as you're practicing this, because technically, look what I'm doing. I don't even have to slide jump. Once you get the bunny hopping right, because on Horizon, I can do this all in one big circle and maintain momentum while bunny hopping. But it's just kind of moving left and right with it. But you've already gotten the basics of it. So actually mastering this is all it's going to take is maybe like 4 or 5 minutes in the test range every once in a while, and you'll get it. I promise.
Yeah, that was always the hardest part when I was trying to bunny hop in CS, is like letting go of the W and then still going.
Yeah, so it's like, realistically, all you got to do is hold crouch. If you're going to practice this, just hold crouch, and then just keep hitting scroll wheel down. Scroll wheel down, just even if it's just a small one like this. And how you build the momentum to go forward is you press A and D and you keep looking in a different direction. I think this is the problem, especially for most people have when you're learning bunny hopping. If you do it in place like this, see, like I'm not going anywhere. So what we're gonna do now, so go ahead and just do this with me, this bounce, like in place like you were, like we're galloping like horses, right? Now you're gonna put A and D into it and just keep organically doing it left and right. And then before you know it, you'll take off. This is how you know you've really mastered a bunny hop. Now what you're going to do is you're going to press A and D left and right, just kind of organically as if you're looking at something. And then move your mouse left and right as well. And just kind of hold it. When you press, I'm sorry, when I say press A and D, you're holding it. As if like you're driving a car without holding W. All you're doing is you're holding A, and then I'm going to hold D, and then I'm going to hold A, and then I'm going to hold D. And then all of a sudden you'll notice that you just propel. And make sure that the mouse movement, I see you're making big movements, make it a little a fluid one, really, really small. As if you're only going from, like, almost want to say a 10-degree difference moving the mouse left. Oh, there you go. I think you actually started getting it.
It's kind of like when you drive and you're getting to a curve, but you don't move the wheel too much. You
Exactly.
move it a little bit.
Yeah. So the question is, why do people bunny hop heal? Well, a normal heal, if you're running away from somebody, looks like this. You heal, and then you're kind of in place, going through like a corner.
You're super slow. You're easy to shoot.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't seem like much. What you do is you slide jump, and then you press heal. And while you're sliding is whenever you start the bunny hop. So it's slide, jump, heal, and then you do that bunny hop, the left and right, and you can gain some momentum. So everything spawns from there you go. Everything spawns from the slide jump. That's why we start with that basis. And you want to be able to press that heal while you're in the air. So it's slide, jump, heal, and then when you're holding the slide is whenever you get the bunny hop off. You slide, jump, heal, and you can use geometry and sliding down to build yourself momentum, and that's really the key. This is probably the most advanced. That's why I started you off with the bunny hop. But just so you're aware, there you go, slide, jump, and then heal when you're in the air.
Okay.
And that's whenever you'll be able to maximize your momentum. So all you're doing here is just maximizing momentum. There you go. Perfect. And when you bunny hop, do the same momentum that you learned up top of moving left, right with the heels, so it propels you forward. Remember, everybody who's watching in the comments, you are going to slow down no matter what. So even if I build some momentum here and I slide jump, you'll notice at the very end of it is whenever I really slow down. But by that point, your heel should be done, and at least you gained a little bit more forward momentum versus not having it. Because then the reason why I have you do it on like a hill like that is like you can do it as well on a flat surface. It's a little harder to do, but then whenever you use like a little crevice to kind of propel you forward, it's better than just being stuck like a plant and then going around a corner and not able to do anything. Okay, next, I'm going to teach you how to wall bounce.
Oh no.
This is much easier than now that you understand the slide jump, you understand the basis. This is going to be much easier, and I have the overlay.
I don't think that they understand that you've tried to teach me this before and it didn't go well.
But it's different. It's different now because I got to teach you the basis. Remember the slide jump? Now what we're going to do,
remember the slide jump.
And now you have the scroll wheel. So the magic behind it, ready? What you're going to do is you slide jump and you're just going to hit the wall, like run into it like we're crash dummies. At the very peak of your momentum. I want you to practice it, but I want you to hit the momentum at like 400 velocity on the upper left-hand side. You want to be super fast. You want to hit that wall at max momentum, right? That's the goal. Perfect. There you go. 10 out of 10. That's perfect. Now all you have to do, whenever you touch the wall, do not touch your keyboard. All you're going to do is slide jump and you're going to just press down on the scroll wheel once you hear the audio sign on the scroll wheel. That's it. Do not touch any other part of your scroll once you hit the wall. And you remember, crash dummy. You got to run into it, really run into it. Your goal is to hit that wall. So once you hit the wall, crash dump, then you press scroll wheel down, and just spam it. Just spam it. There's no harm of spamming it. Once you're at the wall, there. Yes, yes, yes. You did it. You did it. I'm so proud of you. You did it. Yes, you just spam it. Just spam it. Just spam it and just keep scroll wheeling. Once you're in the air, there is no harm of spamming it. Yes, there you go. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. There you go. You're doing advanced movement now. Let's go. Okay, now I'm going to teach you something a little bit more complicated, but at least so you understand it and see it. There's something called a redirect, and we're going to teach you how to tap strafe in this game, okay? So a redirect is whenever you go around a corner. Let's break this down. Let's show you the difference. And I'm going to teach you how to tap strafe for everyone watching, because I'm going to show you how to wall bounce when you're running sideways along a wall. A redirect, or I guess you can just call it like just moving in general. You see how my movement curves, but it's not as sharp? Like I'm holding D and I'm like turn, and it won't turn anymore. A tap strafe, what it does is you slide jump, and all of a sudden you got a nice sharp 90-degree angle, right? It helps you get away from opponents. It helps you run more into a wall. So what I'm going to show you here is what you're going to do. Remember the basis. Everything always comes from the slide jump. I'm going to be running along the wall, slide jump, look at a wall, and then I'm going to wall bounce because I looked at the wall. And what you want to do, actually not half bad. Actually not half bad. That same movement, the issue is that you just have to take a leap of faith and not touch the keyboard anymore. The whole point is that you are a crash dummy. You want to run into the wall as hard as humanly possible. And what you're trying to do is when you redirect and look at the wall, you want to be able to just ram right into it. Run into it as max velocity so it looks like you're about to climb it. So what you can do is you slide over, you hold D to look towards the wall whenever you slide jump. And the biggest issue that you have, and I'm noticing from your movement, is just the slide jump. It's the basis of the movement and knowing when to jump. So maybe some tips I can give you on the slide itself. When you slide and jump, really let it hold, which is why I recommend toggle. There you go. Yes, better. It's why I recommend toggle. Are you using hold right now or toggle?
Oh, hold.
Okay, try toggle. I think it might be a little bit easier because I even have trouble with hold in terms of timing. What I would recommend is putting the keybind for crouch on 2 different binds. One, whenever you're crouch spamming left and right like this in a fight, that one is hold. But whenever I want to slide jump, I use toggle. So I just have to press it and then jump, and that's it. So essentially, it frees up your button so it's not as hard. Because the problem with hold is that you essentially need to like hold it and then like slide by using a different input. You can use scroll wheel, but it does make it a little difficult. There you go. Yes, much better than the momentum. Because then once it's toggle, you can use that momentum. There you go. Yes, much cleaner movement. Much cleaner, much cleaner.
Fence.
Cool. So let me just cover a recap on a wall bounce. So because I only see the only issue I really see is your timing with the slide jump. So you slide jump into the wall and then you hit. You can hold A or D if you want to towards the wall, essentially, but then you wall bounce afterwards. It's a great maneuver to get away, but it's all about propelling yourself with that initial jump to be able to get you there. Yes, there you go. Nice, 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 nice. All you need to do is time the jump, the scroll wheel down a little bit sooner, but that was 100% it. All right. Honestly, you got the basis for that. Now, I'm going to teach you how to tap strafe.
Okay.
This seems a lot more overwhelming to people, but like we just showcased earlier, the difference between the curve versus a tap strafe. So all you're going to do whenever you go around a corner after you slide jump is you're going to spam the scroll wheel forward. So it looks like this. You see I'm like just jittering forward with my scroll wheel forward. Perfect. So whenever you slide jump, you hold D, the direction you want to go, either A or D, and you're going to make a nice sharp 90-degree turn because you're just spamming the scroll wheel because you're in the air.
I went backwards.
I mean, you kind of tap strafed already. You already did it. Just get your slide jump in there so you gain a maximum momentum. There you go. Actually, yeah, that was it. Because you can't do that with just a regular turn because you won't make it sharp enough. There you go. Perfect. You're tap strafing. Because if without a tap strafe, you wouldn't be able to cut that angle at 90 degrees, which is, there you go. Yeah, you're tap strafing. Seems like a complex movement, but it really isn't at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Most people think that a tap strafe is like, oh my God, I don't know how to do it. It's like, no, it's, look at that. Even you're adding a nice little, they call that a redirect whenever you cut around the corner and you turn your back away. It's a redirect. Where you just put a different input in and just redirect to a different direction. I have my overlay there. You can kind of see that there. So pretty much what it is like, okay, I'm going to turn backwards and hold S afterwards. So redirect. And then you also have a tap strafe, and then you go into a redirect if you want. But now that's going to clean up your movement. So if you want to get away, you want a sharper angle, you know, you can do that off of jump pads. You can do that when you're wall bouncing. So a complex movement, a good thing for most people to train, is, I'm going to show you. You're going to slide, jump, tap strafe into a wall bounce.
Ooh.
That one is going to takes a lot of time for some people. Some people get it right away. But essentially all you're doing is you're tap strafing to look at the wall so you can wall bounce. And the biggest issue that I always see people is timing is the slide jump. So then you can wall bounce afterwards. Close. All you got to do is just make sure the tap strafe is that you're tap strafing so hard and just spamming the scroll wheel as you turn to look at the wall. If you can do that, the wall bounce afterwards, there you go. The wall bounce afterwards, even if you're just hugging it, can get you, you know, your momentum so you can wall bounce. Yeah, 100%. You were literally right there, because all you got to do is just hit down scroll wheel. Essentially,
yeah, okay, I did it.
Just to kind of master, because this is, if people said what happens if you remove scroll wheel, well, you just spam W. You can still do the same thing. Scroll wheel just makes it so the movement looks a little bit more fluid, so you don't have this jankiness with it. We're gonna teach you how to wall bounce off of low geometry. This one I do not expect you to get, but I want you to see it and understand it. And I want everyone else's viewers to understand. Remember I told you to take the leap of faith when you're looking at a wall to wall bounce off of it, right?
Yeah.
The unfortunate part is that if you do that, your game wants you to climb. So you can't wall bounce off of it because the geometry is too low and it wants you to climb, and it does this weird, like, there you go, you see? See, that's what it does. You're like, what the heck? What's going on with that? So what you do when you're going towards the wall is you hold A or D so you can wall bounce off of it, because you're essentially telling the game that you don't want to climb, that you want to do something else. Like you're trying to move towards a certain direction. And that's how you wall bounce. So that's how you see a lot of pro players wall bounce off of really unique geometry, or really things that are really low off the ground. That is how they're doing it. So you can essentially then, when you do this movement, wall bounce off of literally anything. So whenever I'm wall bouncing, even off a low geometry over here.
I did it!
Nice! I know, I was over here.
You were here to see it, though!
You got it, though!
I did do it. I'm recording, so you can see it from my point
I
of
love
view.
it. I love it. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to wall bounce with no momentum. So if you, like, this is probably going to be the best way for you to learn how to wall bounce. Because how do you wall bounce whenever you have literally no momentum? Essentially what you do is you jump towards the wall, and then you use scroll wheel afterwards to build momentum. So we're going to look at the wall. There, yeah, you just did it. Essentially that's wall bouncing. You can do a little slide, like even a really bad slide and jump, and then hit the geometry to wall bounce. Sometimes when you hit it, you'll bounce up higher, and sometimes you'll kind of just bounce low. So if I do a really bad slide jump and then go into a wall bounce, that's essentially how you're doing it. It's like, there you go, yeah. It's a no momentum wall bounce. Going into like a crouch or a really bad crouch into a wall bounce. So essentially, all you're doing is just timing the jump and getting even just a little bit of velocity. I'm so used to slide jumping really, really well with it. But it's no momentum, pretty much no momentum, because you're literally right here with like nothing and then bouncing off the wall. So for everyone watching, what we're doing is essentially, you can do a little slide jump. You can essentially just bounce off the wall if you need to, and kind of just like redirect with a tap strafe off of it. And sometimes it'll propel you. It really depends on like what you hit. Sometimes it'll shoot you down a little faster. Sometimes it'll bounce you up if you can do it at the right angle, like I did. Or you can just do a really, really bad slide jump and use that slow energy to bounce you up like that. So that's pretty much wall bouncing with absolutely no momentum, because you can still wall bounce, and you see that with clips from a lot of streamers where they're like reloading and they got like no like they're just literally right here on the wall reloading their guns, and you see them like wall bounce from no momentum. It's because you can still build momentum after the wall bounce afterwards. So little tip there. Hopefully that's helpful for everybody. Now what I'm going to teach you is how to super zipline jump. Okay, follow me. This is actually much easier. So this is what you see a lot of streamers, I guess, infamously like fade, bouncing around zip lines. You're like, oh my god, what is this movement, right? Well, we're about to simplify it. So pretty much what you're doing, you actually don't have to do anything really with your keyboard outside of pressing your interact key and your scroll wheel down. You do not press any other input. So what you do is just bounce off the zip line and give you a lot of momentum. Because normally what it looks like that, where you just like spam it. And it looks like you're not really going anywhere. And you see a lot of streamers all of a sudden, they're like, whoa, flying up in the air like maniacs, right? So if you stand next to this and you don't really hold W or anything, you can walk towards it. But essentially, you're just spamming your interact key and scroll wheel down. Yes, you just did it. Perfect. You're now super zipline jumping. Now, what people do afterwards is they will... This has everything to do with your mouse movement, but then they'll spam jump and interact at the same time afterwards by looking at the zip line, by going back and forth. And your goal is just to track the center. That's it. So, well, essentially what you can do when you want to get fancy with this zip line is you can tap strafe afterwards. You just spam W, so just do that for me, and then just spam the scroll wheel up and just keep moving your mouse around. You'll go in like a big circle. Close, so go again. You'll know whenever you just propel like an absolute maniac in the air. And then all you got to do is just keep pressing, like hold D or a certain direction, and then you'll just go like flying essentially. And let me show you what this looks like when you're trying to be like super fancy. You'll probably see streamers do this. Oh, let me go back up. Here, come up with me.
Okay.
So when streamers are trying to pretty much flex and be fancy, and you'll probably see this in clips, they'll flip up and they'll get that shotgun shot that's amazing, is that they'll go up and then they'll shoot afterwards. So they're using that scroll wheel to get them their tap strafe, so they land on that. But it's a zipline jump, and if you don't do it, time it well then you'll fall to your...
Like me.
You'll fall to your demise. But now you know the foundation of it, right? You know what it looks like. We're going to teach you how to slide jump off of geometry like this. This is a very basic one, but still very important. This is how you keep your momentum whenever climbing objects. So what you do at the very peak of your jump, and this is also how a super glide jump works because you're tapping two different inputs, but I'm going to show you both the simple way and I'm going to show you what a super glide jump looks like. So a regular slide jump off of like a box like this is that at the very peak, you hit toggle crouch to still remain momentum. If you don't, you just kind of like run in place, but you want to keep that slide at the very peak. So go ahead and try that for me. So the very peak, you hit crouch, toggle, and just keep moving forward while you're running. Running is very important.
Oh, I was not pressing shift.
It's okay. I have auto run on.
That's a lot of buttons.
Maybe what might be helpful for you until you master this, and this is a personal preference thing, maybe so then shift isn't there to kind of throw you off. Why not turn auto run on? One less button to worry about.
Okay.
So under settings, this might be a good tip for everybody watching. It's personal preference, but auto sprint is under gameplay. So you, instead of having it off, just have it on. So then it's
auto sprint on.
And we're going to try the wall bounce again afterwards. I probably won't record that section, but we'll see if that helps you out. But a good tip. So you're just going to hold W forward, and then you're going to slide. Wow. Okay. Well, Jesus, dude, we were delaying. All right. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, that auto sprint helped. I'm telling you.
All right. And then what you can do afterwards, whenever you do the slide up, is that you can just tap strafe jump. So this is a good movement to do when you're trying to get away from somebody. Afterwards is just to use a tap strafe afterwards. I have a full guide on how to super glide jump. It's that same peak, but then you press jump and crouch almost at the same time at the very peak to super glide jump. And it doesn't, there we go. There's this, you'll know you did it whenever you fly like an absolute maniac. I can probably get it about 7 out of 10 times. Right now I'm lying apparently because I can't seem to, I only got it once. So my number's a lot lower right now. But the biggest tip I can probably provide for super glide jumping for everyone watching is that It's like it's a 1 frame rule. Right now, my FPS is capped at 210 frames per second. There we go. There's a super glide jump. It's much easier to hit at a lower frame rate. So if you are on console, this is actually much easier for you to do because you are going to be at a lower frame rate. And there it goes again. Essentially, the wall bounce over a wall, you slide jump, tap, hit bounce, and then you tap strafe over the wall. So what you're doing here is normally you go through a climbing animation, and to skip that climbing animation, you're wall bouncing and then tap strafing. But since you're pretty much equal footing with the railing, there's no reason to climb it because you're just at max peak already, and you just kind of fly around it. And there you go. Riss, how do you feel? You literally, I can't cover any more advanced movement tech besides getting very nuanced, but that literally covers everything that you see a pro player will possibly throw at you on Apex Legends. How do you feel?
Feel good. I'm ready to put it into action.
Let's go. So I'm going to showcase a little gauntlet of what a pro player may do to essentially run away. And you can kind of see the difference in the movement and why it's so helpful, or why it can be potentially helpful. Because it incorporates every bit of movement tech. So I am super zipline jumping, then I'm a slide jump, redirect, and wall bounce. And I'm going to pop my Q, and I'm going to pop my heel in the air. Then afterwards, I'm going to pop a second heel, and then I'm going to bunny hop right afterwards. Then I'm going to do a small redirect into a wall bounce right there, and I'm going to use the small momentum one, but not really nail it perfectly. And then that's literally movement that is very difficult to hit. And that looks really good looking.
I'd be able to hit you.
Yeah, and somebody's moving around like an absolute maniac like that, it makes it a lot more difficult. But all that was, when we really break this little gauntlet down to really help you out, is that it was a super zipline jump, going into a slide jump, and then what I did after the slide jump was going into a wall bounce, and then I pressed my, oh no, I tabbed out, and then I pressed my heel. I like how I tabbed out at the worst possible moment, and then I did into a heel into a bunny hop afterwards, using a little bit of a bunny hop there. And voila. Just don't tab out. Biggest tip. Riss, that is all I can teach you for now. And then all you need to do is just work on. And for anybody watching, this stuff doesn't just come overnight, but as long as you have the foundation, then you're going to be able to improve and master your movement, which is why I wanted to, and as Riss is over there, she's doing the bunny hop. She's doing it. She's getting it. I love it. Like as I'm looking, she's getting it. It'll only get cleaner and cleaner, and your momentum will only get better, but she's getting it. Horizon is a great legend to learn all this movement tech just because it's a little bit more forgiving on the redirect, and it looks a lot more fluid, and it'll help you out to see it. And then once you're on another legend, at least you understand the basis. So Riss, again, everybody, I know I shouted out Riss's Twitch channel at the start. Be sure to go follow her on Twitch. She's going to be playing a lot more Apex. And if not, then you can encourage her when she's on Valorant and say, go switch to Apex. Just kidding. You don't have to do that. Just go support her. She's got an amazing community. Me. Oh my gosh, you can't do that. But seriously, she's amazing. I always enjoy watching her stream. She's a part of SOAR. And yeah, Riss, anything else to plug or say?
No, thank you so much for teaching me all this. I can't wait to maybe rank up out of my rookie stage.
Oh yeah, you'll get there easy.
Yeah, one of these days we'll do it.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Maybe on stream.
100%. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you. Bye.